Welcome to another episode of Open World Chat. I am John Odom, and I am joined by Jazzy Jim Dandino.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up?
And today the topic is 2022. Is it a keeper, or do we dig out the gift receipt and box it up and take it back for something else?
Oh, no, we haven't had a keeper year since like 2009, 2008. No, because that was a financial crisis. Everything's been shit since like 99.
Well, this is the year we could all get out and talk to each other face to face again.
That's fair. At least we can go to the bar and bitch about it together.
That's true. Although now our excuses for missing meetings in person, the meetings in person thing's happening again. That may take it right off my list right there.
I am not requiring people to go to meetings in person if they don't have to. Because I agree, it's horseshit. Why would I spend 2 hours in the car driving to something that could have been an email?
I know, right? This is the future. Why aren't we should be taking full advantage of it. Everything can be on screens. Everything can be over the phone. Why the hell not? It's why we have this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jim, so I think we should start the best of or the of. I don't know if this is going to be best of or just of 2022.
No, it's going to be best stuff. It's going to be best stuff that we experienced in 2022. It is not going to be things that were published in 2022. It's not going to be things that were released in theaters or on video on demand or streaming in 2022, because I think the best movie from 2022 that I saw this year was the first 28 minutes of Everything Everywhere All at Once on an airplane last week. And then the baby pooped up her front, and I had to stop watching it.
Oh, so if I said that my big movie of the year was Mothra, we'd be okay with that.
I'm okay with that. That's great. I think my favorite superhero movie that I watched for the first time in 2022 was The Batman, just because it was a very strange billionaire doing self-destructive things that only hurt himself, and that felt like a really winning fantasy this year.
I had a hard time with the Batman. I was just talking about this with somebody else, and we were deciding retroactively that despite our trying to convince ourselves otherwise, that the Batman actually was not good. It didn't work at a lot of levels. The ending was sort of tied together dumb, all the bad guy wins. Okay, bad guys win sometimes, but because the bad guy wins, this Batman suddenly decides to be Batman. So it's got a silver lining, all these people die and the city's wiped out, but Batman, for some reason now, that was very unclear, now is going to be Batman. And
interesting. I will have to go back and rewatch it, because that's not the vibe I got off of it. But also I can justify that in my brain.
Yeah. The other thing I'm sick of with the Batman and all this Batman, more Batman, please, is, I want to see the Batman we know from the comics. And everybody says that, I want to see the real Batman. But if let's narrow it down a little. I take the Batman from the animated series, the 80s and the 90s. I don't want to see a tank. I don't want to see Iron Man. I don't want to see Batman walking down with bullets bouncing off of him. I want to see him jumping around in the dark, being Ninja Batman. He doesn't have the bullets bounce off him. The bullets never get to him. Why are filmmakers unwilling to give us Ninja Batman? Jim, answer.
Because Ninja Batman's not interesting. And also because realistic Batman has broken the concept. Every popular, with the exception of the kids' cartoons and some of the comics, every major multimedia take on Batman has endeavored to make him more realistic, right? Even Snyder's was like grim and gritty and how broken would he be after 20 years of this mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, he wouldn't be. Like, that's something that they do in the comics for a year, and then they move off of it because it's tedious and stupid. Batman's not realistic. Batman could not possibly exist in the real world.
Right. So why are we worrying so much about making him realistic?
Because there's still that illegitimacy associated with comic books and comic book properties that makes some people want to try and make it something it's not.
Haven't we moved beyond that finally? Hasn't
some people
age of the Marvel Cinematic Universe thrown all that to the wind? And,
no, because when the MCU movies smirk at the camera and quip, that's them doing the same thing. It's them acknowledging the ridiculousness of the concept. They go with it, and everything is like a dull gray camp in most of the MCU, and they've gotten away from it more in Phase 4. But it's still like not taking the concept seriously broadly. There are individual instances where they do take the concept seriously, or they do take the medium that these things came from seriously. And they, Black Panther, for example, still haven't seen Wakanda Forever. We're going eventually. It's probably going to be on streaming before we end up seeing it, because
that hurts. Because it's interesting you mentioned that, because that's exactly where what you were saying was going to take me to, was Black Panther. You've got Black Panther Wakanda Forever does not condescend to the source material, does not condescend to the viewer for caring for the source material, but it has ankle wings. Ryan Coogler, when questioned about that, said, it's comics, you have to lean into the weird.
You have to lean into the weird is exactly that.
So you can lean into the weird and not be self-conscious about it, and not condescend in any way, shape, or form to the viewers or the material. And he does that. I think he does a great job in that movie.
He does that, and the best moments in the MCU also do it, right? Cap pulling the hammer to himself is an old school, like, movie theater applause line, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no smirk. Even Thor yelling out, "I knew it," is like, he's the audience stand-in at that point. It's not a smirk. It's not sarcasm. It's not a wink at anybody. It's like, holy shit, this is so cool, right? The ankle wings are the same deal. It's ridiculous, but it's part of the history, and they made it look pretty good from the commercials that I've seen. But
it looks ridiculous. Don't get me wrong.
No, but it doesn't look. It looks ridiculous. Doesn't matter.
But you're immersed.
Exactly. Right. So much of this stuff is either smirking or condescending, like you said, to the source material. And that's why we end up with all of these realistic takes on Batman. Whereas James Gunn, Peacemaker was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The TV list is going to be long. We should move off of movies quickly. But like, James Gunn recognizes how ridiculous the source material is, but the stories take the ridiculous pieces of the source material seriously. And he doesn't often smirk at it. He will occasionally laugh along with the audience, but I don't want to say it's respectful, because it's not respectful. I mean, it's a trauma guy. He's not, like, disrespect is at his core, but it's a loving disrespect. It's an intentioned disrespect. It's a deconstructive disrespect that I think works without being, I don't know what the word is, like, wryly post-ironic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, yeah. And this, I guess, the end of 2022 is sort of the prelude to the year of James Gunn. I'm in.
I'm especially in for taking apart the Snyderverse, because it sucked.
Are you going to be in when his new Superman, the Cub Reporter Superman, is facing off against Mr. Mxyzptlk?
Listen, I really like Superman and Lois, the show. Mm-hmm. I really like. I look back at the flashback episode that showed him first coming to Metropolis, and like the Superman smashes the Klan references that they make in that episode, and I loved it. I adore that show. That show is so good. And I'm in. Whatever, like, he's going to do this, it's going to be the same thing, and I'm fine with it.
All right.
Also, the rumor that Henry Cavill is going to play Hyperion in the MCU.
That's just one of those fake rumors, right?
It probably is, but it would be really funny, and I wouldn't be shocked to have it spoken into existence here, because Henry Cavill and Chris Hemsworth hitting on each other would be amazing.
Well, I'm sure when the dust settles, we'll be seeing Henry Cavill as Jor-El, right?
No,
you don't think so? You don't think?
No, I think clean break. I think in 10 years, they will start to make reference to the Snyderverse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're walking away.
Why they are? They're closing that door hard from the sound of it. Mm-hmm. And as you say, who can blame them?
Yeah, it's time. League of Super Pets was good.
I did not see League of Super Pets, but then I don't have kids like you do.
That is why. All right. Since we're going to spend a shitload of time on television, let's go to games first.
Games.
The best game you played.
I gotta lean on you on games, because I have not been playing games. You've guilted me into reading comics again. I've started spending. I got another mortgage so that I can start getting caught up on comics. But games have not been doing. Tell me the games of the year.
Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
It is the spiritual successor to the Ninja Turtles arcade games, and it is perfect. Oh. It is everything that you remember from going to the arcade with a pocket full of quarters and dumping $12 into those fucking machines so that you could finally beat Krang and the Technodrome. And it's perfect. It is, in every possible way, a perfect arcade game.
Wow.
Yep.
You're old.
I am very old. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I should check that out. But I'm spending all my time getting caught up on comics now. So I guess
that's fair. You should just get Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe Infinite. Just get those and you're fine. And then I'll give you some image and indie stuff to read.
Okay. Well, I got nothing for games, so
okay.
So you win that one. You take that one. What else have you got? You have the floor for games.
That was it.
That was it?
That was about the extent. I spent a lot of time playing Resident Evil 7 and getting stuck, and it scared the hell out of me. That's the Louisiana one?
Is that, yeah, that's the one with the 8-foot tall woman.
No, that's 8. That's 8.
That's 8? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't play that one yet.
No.
No, and my household is a 360 that I want to bust out when I want to play Marvel Capcom 2, a PS4 that has the bulk of my gaming on it, and a Switch. And my year was mostly Resident Evil 6 and 7 and 6 blows, Breath of the Wild, and obliterating Breath of the Wild. I do remember when we had our video game episode, I talked about how the open world stuff turned me off to it. But tooling around with it and not being 100% obsessive brought me back around on it a little bit. And I did come back around on the boss fight.
So the open world stuff turned you off, but then the open world stuff actually turned you onto it.
It gave me the space to turn myself back on. I'm still not thrilled with it. I would much prefer a more linear experience. But I'm cool with it. I still think it was better. Oh, Jesus, Metroid. Yeah, the new Metroid that came out this year was also staggeringly good.
Well, the last game I spent any time actually playing seriously was Breath of the Wild. So I'll just, if we're talking, there you go. Mothra and Breath in the Wild are my things of the year here so far.
Oh, no. Yeah. Metroid Dread, I would absolutely put up against any games that came out that I didn't play this year. I'm confident that it's going to be better.
So movie wise, before we get away from movies, give me your thumbs up and thumbs down on, you didn't see Black Panther yet, right?
No.
But there was Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. There was Thor: Love and Thunder. There was Black Adam.
Haven't seen it.
What else?
Like most of the world, I have not seen Black Adam.
Oh yeah. Well, what about the other two? Yay or nay?
Thumbs down on Doctor Strange 2. And the thumbs get further down the further away from it I get. They did Wanda so dirty in that movie, and I don't care for it. Thumbs up with reservations on Thor, on Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I'm going to flip those thumbs a little on you. I feel the same way you feel about Wanda. I don't think it was enough to wreck the movie for me, especially since, there's no body. We know there's fan outcry. She's a very popular character. She'll get redeemed. She'll be back. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Thor left me cold. There was a lot of good material and talent there squandered, I think. And the mix that, Waititi did not strike that balance between the sort of stakes and intensity and the comedy. You would think if anybody could pull that off, it would be, it'd be this guy. It'd be the one who brought us that movie he won the award for. Yeah. What's that? No, not Wilder People. Jeez.
He won the award for, wasn't it?
No, he won. Oh God!
Why am I?
Damn it! He won the screenplay Oscar for Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. Oh no, Jojo Rabbit.
Which was
Jojo Rabbit was bad.
Oh, it was terrible. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Bite your tongue. Yes, it walked this line between comedy and tragedy so much I didn't know whether I was coming or going. He had me chuckling at jokes about clones and then tears in my eyes when the mother died. I mean, I was all over that. It was just wow. And you think someone who could balance those, could hit you with those things like that would Thor: Love and Thunder would have been a walk in the park because he's kind of trying to do the same thing, right?
Yeah, like I said, with reservations, right? And my reservations were gore was underutilized dramatically. But I feel like they got enough in to make it pay off at the end. And the first 20 minutes of it were like the entire cast winking at the audience, going, trying to get them to laugh with them. And it didn't land. But as soon as Jane came on the scene, I feel like it picked up and it found its heart. And it was very good from there on, with the exception of gore, with the exception of them not developing gore quite enough to land it perfectly. There were a couple of times where the jokes, they did the same thing, right? The jokes hung on too long, trying to draw a laugh out of the audience that wasn't coming. But I still think that it was earnest. It was heartfelt. It earned the Jane and Thor stuff. And I'm very interested to see what 90s rock album is the foundation for the next Thor movie.
If we get one.
No, we're going to get one because they have to. They did Immigrant Song for the last one. They did Sweet Child of Mine for this one. I'm guessing Metallica's Black Album.
Well, Hemsworth has said they'll have to do something different to get him back.
They'll do something different. That's why they get Henry Cavill. They can have a love triangle between him, Jane's ghost, and Henry Cavill.
There you go. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know whether I'd watch that or not, but
you've read the Hickman Avenger stuff where Thor and Hyperion are clearly.
I did not infer that, actually. All right, I'm going to go back and look.
Yes, Thor and Hyperion are doing it, and they are parents to those little zebra kids.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Go back and take another look.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the kid at the end of that was Captain Universe. Somebody had to tell me. I'm like, what?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Heimdall's kid was Captain Universe?
Yeah, gets the Captain Universe powers at the end with the whole eternity thing. That's where those crazy powers that she has at the end of the movie come from. Remember, she didn't have any powers. She was just a kid. And then she's out there vroom, vroom, fighting. And there was the Captain Universe kind of shimmer and stuff going on. Yeah, she Captain Universe out, man.
Powers. He gave them the powers.
No, he gave them. No, all the kids together. Yeah.
Yes.
But her powers came when, she was brought back by Eternity.
Gore's kid.
Yeah.
She's Captain Universe?
It had to be pointed out to me. I went back and looked, and it's like, all the signs are there.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Go check it out.
I'm gonna. I'm extremely gonna. She was super cool in Hickman's run. Another one.
So one movie I will just throw in because it gets a bum rap. Everybody hated it. And speaking of Chris Hemsworth, and I do not know why Spiderhead got so little love. I didn't love it, but it's worth a watch. You want to stream something? Sci-fi on,
Spiderhead? What's TV, it on?
Spiderhead. I think it's on Netflix.
Okay. I'll look. I did not.
It's good.
I would actually legitimately, my movie of the year is probably Prey. The Comanche Predator movie. Yeah. That movie rocked.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It got a little overhyped for me, but I had a really, really good time with it.
I thought it was the best Predator movie since 2. I also enjoyed Hellraiser, even though I'm not super into Hellraiser movies or like gory horror movies.
Yeah, I avoided
all that much.
So a movie I loved that really doesn't fit here, except that it keeps getting classified as horror because people don't know what to do with it. So I'm going to use that as my excuse and push The Menu. The Menu was so much damn fun. I keep dragging everybody I know to see it. I've seen it 3 times now.
That's on my list, as is the Weird Al movie, as soon as I can get access to it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that one's got to go on there. All right.
And then comics. Did we talk comics yet?
Let's talk comics. So let's break it down into Jim's superhero bullshit and not superhero bullshit.
Okay. Well, we got to start with X-Men.
Yeah, we have to start with the crossover.
The crossover.
X.
I didn't read the crossover. I've been reading Immortal.
And Eternals.
What I can from some inference, because I don't have the money to read everything.
Marvel Unlimited. I'm telling you, it's $10 a month, and you get all of this stuff. There's been the X-Men line has been amazing. It was very good after House of X and Powers of 10. But strangely enough, since Hickman left, the X-Men line has kicked it into high gear. Vita Ayala and Rob Rice on New Mutants was a classic run on par with what Claremont and Louise Simonson did.
Praise.
And it's not navel-gazing, but it is steeped in New Mutants lore and New Mutants history, right? There is a Shadow King story that is maybe the best Shadow King character piece ever done. There is a Magic story that is outstanding, that deals with Magic's childhood in Limbo. And Rice is like Bill Sienkiewicz good. And he can ape Sienkiewicz really well. What Simon Spurrier is doing with Legion of X is taking the sci-fi pieces of what Hickman laid down and moving it into the future. X-Men Red is stunningly good. Unbelievably, maybe like low-key the best in the line. Immortal is outstanding. Exterminators is my top 3 superhero comics of the year, because it's so. I've only read the first 2 issues so far. The third one's waiting for me at the comic shop, but at least once in each of the first 2 issues, I had to put the book down. I was laughing so hard. There's a circumcision joke in the second issue that is. I can't believe they put it in. I can't believe they got it past Marvel censors. And didn't realize that it was a mature audience's book while they were doing it. Leah Williams is really, really stupid funny. But what Gillen managed to pull off with the crossover is a natural capstone to what he was doing in Eternals and a natural progression for the world that he's building in Immortal. it is.
Well, isn't that though? I'm gonna ask you on that. Push a little back a little bit because I mean, Gillen is, at least in my opinion, much better with characters than Hickman. Hickman's a plot-oriented guy. Hickman does characters in broad strokes and he cares about them, but Gillen, you know, he makes
Has
things
characters.
more character-driven. And the fact is that the world is largely built. I mean, Hickman spent all this time and years doing world building, and now he's taken time. He's put it into low gear, and we're fleshing out character stories and character histories, and suddenly that the quiet council isn't just a few people that you care about, and the other one's taking up space. You're starting to care about all of them a little more.
Yes, but also Gillen did all of the stuff that Hickman did with Krakoa with the Eternals.
Okay.
And this ties together with it, right? It's nothing's gonna top Hickman's Secret Wars for me. That's the pinnacle of superhero comic crossovers, but this one's up there. This one is one of my favorite X-Men crossovers of all time.
No, I can check it
out. There are Eternals moments. There are some incredible Captain America and Iron Man moments in it. There's obviously the Nightcrawler and Jean Grey get their hero moments. The Jean Grey, I think there's a Jean Grey issue of Jerry Duggan's X-Men in the crossover that is stupid good. Just incredible character study of Jean. And Scott too. And it's just everything is clicking right now. And now you're going to add Zeb Wells coming back to do the crossover between Spider-Man and the X-Men with Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor as the bad guys. It's perfect. It's perfect. No, Zeb Wells, by the way, who had a cameo in the season finale of She-Hulk.
Oh, I did not know.
He was in the writer's room.
Is that our segue to TV, or should I throw in? Let me just.
No. We've got comics bullshit left to do. Okay. Batman Superman, the Mark Waid, Dan Mora book at DC, is probably my favorite DC book of the year. Human Target's really good too. Detective Comics, Ram V's Detective Comics is incredible. Philip Kennedy Johnson's action run was best since the Triangle era.
I've got a soft spot for Flash this year, honestly.
I haven't been reading it, and I'm going to go back and read it because I've been hearing very, very good things, but I needed a break from Flash after sticking with it for Josh Williamson's entire run. Which I enjoyed, and I'm not saying I needed a break because I needed to walk away because it was bad. It was more Flash in my life than I'd ever had before.
It's a little cute, Sometimes these things get when
it should be cute if it's Wally focused.
Well, and just the fact that it's Wally focused, actually, you had me at Wally focused because now that the character has been finally rehabilitated in a real meaningful way after
being brutally assassinated in Heroes in Crisis.
Oh my God. That just, that's one of the things that made me stop spending money on comics was Heroes in Crisis. I was still buying and buying. And then I was like, oh God, the hell with this. And I drifted off reading any of them. It pushed me over. And, they had the whole story about how it wasn't his fault that the Speed Force had to, vomit out Savitar or whatever it was supposed to be going on, but it doesn't matter anymore. Just reasons. Now he's got the family and he's being they're making him the everyman again. Good. And it's got a great vibe to it. It's got a great feel, and I'm just grateful for it. And I think I'm going to keep reading it.
Spinning out of World's Finest and Wade and Mahmoud Asrar's Batman versus Robin is the Lazarus Planet crossover next year. And giving Mark Waid a massive DC crossover is one of the best ideas that DC's had in a long run of very good ideas. They've been very strong lately. But Wade's a guy who who should be steering that line, or at least at some point in his career should have been steering the entire ship. And it's really nice to let them get his hands on it. Also, he's a talented enough writer to understand that when you're on a book with Dan Mora, draw whatever the hell Dan Mora wants to draw. Or write whatever the hell Dan Mora wants to draw, because you got Doom Patrol, you've got Teen Titans, like old school classic Teen Titans, everything in World's Finest looks spectacular. Supergirl and Robin teaming up and hating each other is a blast, and it looks so good. Also, I forgot to put on my ballot for Den of Geek is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. The Tom King
right, that got a lot of buzz.
Book.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I remember all the buzz around it. Yeah.
There's Supergirl character work in there that should stick with that character forever. There's stuff that King and Evely make her do in her past that is beautiful and character defining and makes her a super person in a very distinct manner from Clark. And I love it. It's great. It's so good. And it looks amazing. She like DC, like Marvel, the stuff that I like from Marvel is plot driven and character driven. And the stuff that I liked at DC this year, with the exception of action, is really about the art. World's Finest Dan Moore is incredible. Bilquis Evely is unbelievable. Greg Smallwood on Human Target is ridiculous. Just ridiculous, that book. It's Darwin Cook's Parker. It's that good.
The medium is just wallowing in a wealth of riches of artists. Another conversation I was just having the other day with somebody. There's so many good artists out there doing so much good work.
And I want to touch on some indie stuff for a second. 20th Century Men at Image.
Tell me about it. Pitch me.
It's really hard to pin down the art style. What is his name? Stipan Morian. He's a Croatian artist, and it looks heavy metal 2000 AD-ish, but it also has a lot of Kirby in it. And there are a couple of pages in it that look like the painted, like, what's his name? The guy who did Pluto, Naoki Urasawa. It's like you see all of these influences in the art, and it mashes together into something that I don't think I've ever seen before. Like the art in that is staggering, really, really intensely good. It's alternate history, sci-fi history of war between the United States and Russia in Afghanistan, World War III, starting in Afghanistan between the United States and the Soviet Union with superhero analogs. So Russia has Iron Man, an Iron Man analog. The president of the United States is Captain America. Actually, he's closer to U.S. agent if we're being honest with each other. And the president lets their Hulk out to attack the Russians. And you can, like, if you look closely enough, you see the Avengers analogs being dropped into the story, but it's really hard to focus that closely when the art is so interesting and different to look at. And then Zoe Thorogood's It's Only at the Center of the Earth, autobio comic about 6 months of depression during the pandemic. But there's a lot of just another one where there's so many art styles that like mash together. There's, kind of manga-ish faces. There's really heavy webcomic cartooning. There's some photography mixed in. It's not quite fumetti. It's almost like collage.
Mm-hmm.
And her sense of humor is incredibly black, and it works. It's a story about depression and you feel it, but there are parts of it that are really laugh out loud funny. There's also there's a vibe to it that's almost like daring you to like it though. it's so self-deprecating and self-aware that it feels like you're being taunted a little bit with it. It wonderful, interesting reading experience.
Well, I guess I might throw in then with a mixed, I don't know if it's a full-on recommendation. It's more of a notation of the Many Deaths of Layla Starr.
Oh God, so good. Another one that's so Ram V, his Swamp Thing is incredible. The everything he writes is worth reading.
It doesn't make sense. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr doesn't make sense until you realize, I mean, narratively, everything, you're just reading this almost sort of poetry on life and death. It almost flows like a song sometimes, but why are people still dying? Even though, and it's funny because you start out thinking you're going to get some kind of Neil Gaiman inspired, something, and it's nothing like that at all. But yeah, so it's not for everybody because it's just something you don't want to think about. If you can just sit back and roll with the art and the prose, it's a great thing.
Very good. I will put a plug in. These Savage Shores is a vault book that he did with, I forget the artist's name. The artist is incredible, and came to work with him on some Justice League Dark stories, I think. It's These Savage Shores is a vampire story set in colonial India in the 1700s. Incredibly good looking book, really, really good action, but really, really smart too. And his current run on Detective is based on opera. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's doing it.
So this is also the year that Saga came back, which used to be my favorite book, but I didn't pick it up. Have you looked at any of it?
I have the 4 issues sitting on my desk. I'm gonna get to them eventually, but it's hard for me to jump back in, only to jump back out for another 2 years, and I don't want to hold it against the creators because they're both incredibly talented people, and I want them to go at their pace. But it's just I'm gonna let it sit and then bang out a dozen issues at a time, I think.
There you go. All right. Man, we are taking our time here, so we better run to some TV quick.
Yeah.
My God, we could do TV is going to be rough. There's a lot.
We should. Do you want to save TV for next week or for 2 weeks?
We could talk TV. We could talk TV in 2 weeks. I mean, lots of TV thoughts.
I do too, and all of them good. Even the bad TV shows that I think people were complaining about, I thought had value, right? I thought Obi-Wan was good. I thought Andor and Sandman are probably my best shows of the year. Peacemaker was amazing. What the hell else have I watched? Welcome to Wrexham, the documentary about Ryan Reynolds and what's his name from Always Sunny buying the soccer team.
Right.
Really like that. Reboot, the Hulu sitcom with about bringing back a Full House style turn of the millennium sitcom and updating it for modern audiences, but it's a behind the scenes thing.
Okay, really, you're teasing funny. Too much here. You were allowed to say a couple to tease for next week, and now you're getting
TV was really, really good, and we haven't even started talking about Star Trek yet.
And we haven't. You're right. All right. So TV in 2 weeks. My previews on the conversation will also be Sandman and For All Mankind. So
I don't have Apple TV, and I don't see any circumstance where I get Apple TV. So
you need to get it to watch For All Mankind. So
we'll see. And I am going to put a plug in for Bluey. It is a kids show on Disney Plus.
Bluey.
It is imported from Australia. It's a cartoon about a family of dogs, and it has the most realistic children that I've ever seen in a show like this, and it has some of the best parent humor. The last episode that's on Disney Plus right now, the family puts the dad on trial for farting in the kid's face. It's really good. It's really good. It is a phenomenon amongst parents with kids under 7, but it's worth watching for everyone.
I still haven't gotten over my PTSD from having kids that young, so I may or may not get to it. I'll take your word for it.
Watch backwards. The earlier stuff, it's all funny, it's all good, but the later stuff is smarter. And there's like adult stuff too. There's stuff about like losing a kid, losing a pregnancy. There's stuff about no, you don't even notice. Like if you're not looking for it, you don't notice it. There's stuff about postpartum depression.
Okay, so the adult stuff is all depressing.
No, the adult stuff
too.
No, the adults have lots of fun. There's the dad, they pack the kids in the car for a family vacation, and they're trying to make good time and stay ahead of the old people, the gray nomads behind them, because they don't want to get caught driving too slow. There are 2 episodes where the kids pretend to be old ladies named Rita and Janet, and it is the meanest shit I've ever seen on television. They are so mean to old people, and I die laughing every time I watch it because it is just vicious.
All right, we could do this all week. So we'll wait in 2 weeks and do the rest of it then.
Yep, we will. We got this.
All right, it's going straight up. No editing. By God, this is
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. See you next time.
Thank you.